Part 77. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jinkui. Chapter 761. Caping excitedly said to Gu Yunjiao, "A soldier came over this afternoon and said that this carriage will be ours in the future." Gu Yunjiao thought to herself that it was no wonder she didn't see the driver. She nodded, "You two have to learn to drive in the future, and everyone has to learn to drive in the future." Sanya raised her head, "I also learn." Gu Yunjiao patted her head, "Okay, Sanya is really sensible." Caping and Huixiang worked together to lift the bag of rice onto the carriage. Lu Lang looked at Gu Yunjiao with a complicated expression at this time, and suddenly asked, "Sister Jiao Jiao, the second prince of Jin, why did you give us these things? What are you doing with him?" Chen Shi was a little flustered when he heard this, and hurriedly reprimanded Lu Lang, "Why do you ask so many questions? Don't take care of the adults' business." At this time, Gu Yuheng and Uncle Du came back carrying the iron pot. Hearing Liu Lang's words, Gu Yuheng's face changed. "Jiao Jiao didn't say it yesterday, she played cards with the second prince." Mrs. Wu looked at Rokuro a little unhappy. She believed in Gu Yunjiao. She was the same as Gu Yuheng, and it could be seen from Gu Yunjiao's expression that she was really fine. The words Rokuro asked were vaguely accusatory. But Gu Yunjiao really had something to do with the second prince, and Lu Lang had no room for blame. If it weren't for them, why would Jiao Jiao go to deal with the second prince? Gu Yunjiao looked at Lu Lang quietly. She could hear the questioning in her words. She said lightly, "What I didn't need to explain to anyone, but since you asked, I will tell you. Yesterday I'm playing cards with the second prince." Playing cards with the second prince and the prime minister this morning, and telling stories to the second prince in the afternoon. Gu Yunjiao didn't care whether everyone believed her or not, she was telling the truth anyway. Seeing Gu Yunjiao's expression, Chen Shi knew that she was not very happy, and scolded Lu Lang, "You child, why are you talking so much?" But Lu Lang still looked at Gu Yunjiao stubbornly. "Okay, since you say that, I believe you, but since you have the opportunity to approach the second prince, why don't you kill him? Don't you have a lot of weird poisons?" Gu Yunjiao pursed her lips and was about to speak when Madame Wu couldn't help it. "You child, are you stupid? Kill the second prince and let your sister Jiao Jiao die." Even if the second prince died silently, Gu Yunjiao, who had been with the second prince these days, would definitely not be able to escape. Lu Lang's mouth moved, but after all, he couldn't say the words to let Gu Yunjiao die. Chen Shi couldn't help but scold Lu Lang in a low voice, "How did I give birth to such an idiot as you? Have you ever thought about it? If your sister Jiao Jiao kills the second prince, can we still live? We all have to die." Lu Lang whispered, "I'm not afraid of death, sir, said that a man who died for the country is a great hero." Chen Shi slapped Lu Lang's head with a slap. "You are not afraid of death, my mother is afraid of death. My mother has not lived enough. You are still a hero, I think you are almost like a bear." Gu Yunjiao looked at Lu Lang calmly. This child was very slick in the past. It is estimated that those thoughts in his mind came from his husband. She glanced at Gu Chuan again. After opening the pharmacy, Gu Yuheng gave him another one because the previous private school was too far away from the shop. Therefore, the younger brother usually did not find such thoughts. She said indifferently, "There are naturally heroes in this world, and I also worship heroes, but I'm just a little girl, I can't be a hero, and I don't plan to be a hero. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth." Author, Jinkui. Chapter 762. I now have Saburo's child in my stomach. For the sake of the child and for my relatives, I will try my best to survive. Also, some sacrifices are meaningless. Not everything is called dying for the country, and not everyone is worthy of being a hero. If I have to sacrifice, I will not be stingy with this life, but my sacrifice must be meaningful. Gu Yunjiao looked at Lu Lang calmly. If it comes time for me to sacrifice, I will not be stingy with this life, but my sacrifice must be meaningful. If killing Wanyanjiang would save these 100,000 people, then Gu Yunjiao would also risk it. If Wanyanjiang was killed, De Chu would be able to return to the past, and Gu Yunjiao would not be stingy with her own life. However, killing Wanyanjiang would not change this. Even if he wants to kill Yanjiang, that is not now. Gu Yunjiao has a detailed plan in mind, but there is no need to tell anyone. At this time, Gu Chuan came over and grabbed Gu Yunjiao's hand, looking at Rokuro dissatisfied. This pair of good brothers who used to be too good to wear a pair of trousers had cracks for the first time. The Chen family became more and more frightened, and caught Liaolang and started fighting. I told you to talk nonsense, I told you to talk nonsense. Gu Yunjiao sighed, and was too lazy to persuade her. After telling the story for a long time, she was quite tired. Uncle Dum was cooking by the side, and Mrs. Tian pulled a handful of wild vegetables from nowhere, washed them, and put them in the pot. Gu Yunjiao took out a small packet of salt from her purse and handed it to her father. If people don't eat salt, they will be bored. Fortunately, she prepared some salt in advance and put it in the medicine storehouse. During the meal, Gu Chuan saw that Rolang had brought a leaf to make rice, and couldn't help snorting, "Aren't you going to be a hero? Then don't eat the rice that my sister got. From now on, you will get the rice and eat it yourself." Chen Shi wanted to say something, but couldn't help but say nothing. Rokuro pursed his lips, a little aggrieved, and looked like he was about to cry. Gu Yuhang sighed, "Forget it, he's still a child." Although he was a little unhappy with Lu Lang because of what Lu Lang said just now, what else could he do? Lu Lang is also Jiao's uncle. Jiao is responsible for taking care of them. You can't stop a child from eating just because he says something inappropriate. Chen Shi also sank his face. Xiao Chuan is right, don't give him any food, and don't leave him a grain of rice. When he is hungry for a few days, he will know what a hero is and what is living. Chen Shi now regrets it a little, and has always protected Liaolang Sanya too well. They should move out of the Kuagong mansion and let these two fatherless children be bullied, then they will know that in this world, it is difficult to protect themselves and their families, not to mention being heroes. Mrs. Wu glanced at Rokuro. "I think this method is good." Rokuro was even more aggrieved, and his eyes fell. Gu Yunjiao sighed and waved to Rokuro, who came over and stood in front of her with his head lowered. Only then did Gu Yunjiao realize that the 13-year-old Rokuro was already very tall. She motioned Lu Lang to sit down and said patiently, "Your previous thoughts are not to say that they are wrong. Every country and nation needs heroes, which is also a symbol of the national spirit. However, in my opinion, only those who truly do something meaningful for the country and the nation are worthy of being called heroes. Also, whether you choose to be a hero or not is your own business. You can't force others to be heroes. Everyone has their own choices, do you understand?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jinkui. Chapter 763. Rokuro nodded in understanding. Gu Yunjiao waved her hand, "Let's go eat." During this period of time, take a look and think more for yourself, and you can also ask those people what kind of heroes they need. Rokuro lowered his head, went over to the iron pot, and Gu Yuheng wrapped a lump of rice in leaves and handed it to him. At night, Mrs. Wu, Gu Yunjiao, and Ruru slept in the carriage, so it wasn't as wet as the ground. In the early morning of the next day, everyone had experience, either to solve the convenient problem in advance, or to wait until the rice was received. Although they now have a bag of rice, there are so many people that they can't eat for a few days. Rice is still essential. Gu Yunjiao was in the queue again. Caping and Huixiang stood behind her. Coincidentally, when she was about to line up, Gu Yunjiao discovered that in the line she was in today, the ones who gave out rice were the same ones from yesterday. Soon it was Gu Yunjiao's turn, and the soldier who sent rice also recognized her and smiled slyly. "Isn't this the little girl from yesterday? I was hungry all day yesterday. Come on, come closer, give me a touch, I'll give you a little more later." He saw Gu Yunjiao standing still, her face sank. The second prince said that it takes too much time to line up to receive rice grains every morning. Today's food is half a month's grain. Are you sure you don't want it? Gu Yunjiao said coldly, yes. The soldier laughed slyly, then why don't you come over and touch him? The words fell, and a slap slapped his face. The soldier was furious, and when he saw the person who slapped him clearly, Zi Lu fell to his knees in fright. Wang Yanzhang's personal soldiers were staring at the soldier. Yesterday, he was the one who brought someone over to find Gu Yunjiao. From the point of view of the personal soldiers, Gu Yunjiao was undoubtedly the woman of the second prince. And the second prince seemed to like her very much, otherwise he wouldn't let her stay in the carriage all day. Today, the second prince had just woken up and sent him to find Gu Yunjiao, which already explained the problem. The soldier looked at the person kneeling on the ground, and said coldly, "Open your dog's eyes and see clearly, this is the second prince's woman, and is it something you can imagine?" The soldier kowtowed on the ground, "Sir, spare your life, the villain will never dare again." Only then did the personal soldier bend down slightly and said to Gu Yunjiao, "Dr. Gu, the second prince wants to see you." His attitude was much more respectful than yesterday. Gu Yunjiao smiled at him, "Wait a minute, I haven't received the rice." The soldiers also didn't know why Gu Yunjiao had to receive rice rations. She had obviously eaten with the second prince these past 2 days. However, a little bit of rice is nothing at all. He glanced at the other soldiers who distributed rice. "What are you still doing? Don't hurry to distribute food to Dr. Gu." A clever soldier carried a bag of flour and placed it at Gu Yunjiao's feet. Gu Yunjiao's eyes lit up and she reached out to pick up the bag. Didn't move. Seeing this, the soldiers lifted the bag with one hand, and Gu Yunjiao led the way. After the flour bag was delivered to the carriage, Gu Yunjiao left with her personal soldiers. This place was not too far from the king's tent, and after the personal soldiers informed him, Gu Yunjiao entered the king's tent. As soon as Wang Yanzhang saw her, the mouthwash spewed out of his mouth. Gu Yunjiao was still wearing the lotus-colored satin clothes that the maid had found for her yesterday. She slept in the clothes all night, and she was wrinkled all over. Forget it, satin is prone to wrinkling. But her hair was messy like a chicken coop. Although she couldn't see it, Wang Yanzhang felt that there must be eye mucus in the corner of her eyes. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jinkui. Chapter 764. Wang Yanzhang hurriedly waved, "Take her out to wash and change her clothes." He dreamed of the Monkey King last night, and he wanted to call Gu Yunjiao over to tell a story early in the morning. Who knows, seeing her so honored. The maid took Gu Yunjiao to a nearby tent, brought water to Gu Yunjiao, and brought a toothbrush for her to wash. Gu Yunjiao brushed her teeth unhurriedly, and the maid suddenly whispered behind her, "You did it on purpose." Gu Yunjiao's hand paused and continued to brush her teeth. The corners of the maid's lips were slightly raised. "You just deliberately let the second prince see your sloppy appearance. You hope he can completely ignore your skin and don't treat you as a woman." Gu Yunjiao spat out the water in her mouth, turned her head and smiled at the maid. "On the first day of fighting the landlord, I found out that you are very smart. You are very smart and have outstanding beauty. You should not be an ordinary person before." The maid pursed her lips and said softly after a while, "My name is Lin Shishi." Gu Yunjiao put a handful of water on her face, and suddenly felt that the name seemed familiar. She straightened up and turned to look at Lin Shishi suspiciously. I've heard this name before, but I just can't remember it right now. Lin Shishi reminded, Fan Lu. Gu Yunjiao said oh and finally remembered, isn't Lin Shishi the one from the west building of Fanlu, the Warren who is said to have an affair with the Emperor Tai's Hang? She nodded and glanced at Lin Shishi admiringly. Sure enough, she is a beautiful woman with a high-quality orchid heart and an alluring beauty. Lin Shishi raised her eyebrows. She was considered to have read countless people in Fanlu, and it could be seen that Gu Yunjiao was sincerely complimenting her. In her eyes, Gu Yunjiao is a noble lady, and usually these noble ladies look down on them as brothel women. She deliberately revealed her identity just to see Gu Yunjiao's reaction. Her reaction was beyond Lin Shishi's expectations. Gu Yunjiao then wiped her body again, and then changed into the clothes that Lin Shishi prepared for her. This time, the clothes fit a lot better. The upper body is a goose yellow cocoon silk shirt, and the lower body is a 12-piece pomegranate skirt made of moon white fine silk. This kind of skirt is very wrinkled and requires a lot of fabric. Lin Shishi pressed her in front of the mirror and called a maid to comb Gu Yunjiao's hair. Soon, Gu Yunjiao's chicken coop-like hair was quickly combed into a beautiful bun by the girl, and Lin Shishi casually inserted gold hairpins and pearl hairpins for Gu Yunjiao. Gu Yunjiao found that Lin Shishi's seemingly casual insertion was actually very well organized. Several pieces of jewelry adorn her hairstyle just right, without feeling cumbersome at all, and adding some moving charm. Seeing the packed Gu Yunjiao appear in front of him, Wang Yanjiang finally breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't want to look at a woman with hot eyes and tell him journey to the west. Gu Yunjiao took a little longer to dress up, so that Wang Yanzhang had already finished breakfast and got into the carriage. There was a plate of loquats and a few desserts on the table. Gu Yunjiao was a little hungry. Last night, she had a dream about a very cute little tiger rubbing against her feet with its little head. She didn't want to starve her son, so she politely asked Wang Yanzhang, "Can I have some snacks? I haven't had time for breakfast yet." Wang Yanzhang waved his hand, indicating that she was free. Gu Yunjiao ate a few snacks, and then began today's storytelling. In the afternoon, Gu Yunjiao, who was distressed by her throat, suggested to Wang Yanzhang that she could call the Prime Minister over to play an interesting game called bullfighting. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jinkui. Chapter 765. Wu Lindahai came over quickly. Gu Yunjiao explained the rules, and both of them quickly understood. Wang Yanzhang looked at Gu Yunjiao amusingly. Do you want to bet Dr. Gu today? Gu Yunjiao smiled and said, I played this when I was a kid, and if I lost, I would put a sticker on my face. Wang Yanzhang raised his brows slightly. A sticker? Wu Lindahai said, it looks very interesting. Come on, let's try. He turned his head and instructed Lin Shishi, tear off some paper and prepare it. Gu Yunjiao motioned for Wang Yanzhang to deal the cards. The first one, Wang Yanzhang's dealer would take it all. Gu Yunjiao took a note, dipped it in some water, and stuck it on her chin. Yulindahai also posted one. Wang Yanzhang looked at the two of them and found it interesting, and began to deal cards in high spirits. Gu Yunjiao was out of luck today. She was always losing, and after a short time, her face was densely covered with notes, leaving her forehead untouched. Wu Lindahai is not much better than her, and there are a lot of stickers on his face. Wang Yanzhang only put some on his chin, which looked normal. Every time he raised his eyes to see Wu Lindahai and Gu Yunjiao, he wanted to laugh, and he couldn't help laughing out loud several times. Along the way, the surrounding personal soldiers heard the second prince's happy laughter from the second prince's carriage from time to time. The captain of the personal soldiers somewhat admired Gu Yunjiao. There were so many beauties in Dichu who took turns to be sent to the second prince's bed, and he never made him laugh once. This Dr. Gu played games with the second prince, which made him laugh. In the evening, when the convoy stopped for lunch, Gu Yunjiao also got up and said goodbye. Wan Yanzhang was in a very relaxed mood today, and seeing Gu Yunjiao felt particularly pleasing to the eye. He casually ordered his personal soldiers, get a separate tent for Dr. Gu, and have someone bring water to her to wash and bathe every morning and evening. His eyes fell on Gu Yunjiao. In the future, when you get up in the morning, come over to chat with this king and have fun, don't look sloppy again. Gu Yunjiao bent down, thank you second prince. Wan Yanzhang waved her hand, and Gu Yunjiao withdrew. The soldiers followed Gu Yunjiao out, pointed to a tent that the soldiers were building not far away, and said, that tent will belong to Dr. Gu in the future. I'll have someone send the tubs over in a while. If you need to fetch water, Dr. Gu will tell the soldiers to do it. Gu Yunjiao thanked him, looked around, and found the familiar carriage not far away. There was a fire burning next to the carriage, the iron pot was on it, and Gu Yuhang was making pancakes. There is no condition to knead the dough here. Gu Yuhang simply mixed a little water in the flour, and then poured the batter into the pan to fry. After frying a cake, Gu Yuhang first handed it to Mrs. Wu, and the second to Da Yat. These two are sick patients and must be given priority. Gu Yunjiao thought her father's way of cooking was quite handsome. She smiled and took out the fried small dried fish from the medicine store to share with everyone. Mrs. Wu nibbled on the pancakes and dried fish, and couldn't help but said, in the past, Tiantianation's delicacies from the mountains and seas in the Kuagong's mansion didn't feel very good, but now, I can eat pancakes and dried fish, and I feel it is a great blessing. Da Yan nodded vigorously beside her. Gu Yunjiao didn't have dinner at Wan Yanzhang's place today. She ate a pancake, some wild vegetables picked by Mrs. Tian's color screen, and some dried small fish. She felt that she had enough protein, vitamins, and starches. She couldn't help rubbing her stomach. The bulge of the lower abdomen has become more and more obvious. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jinkui. Chapter 766. Sanya suddenly said, Sister Jiao Qiao, you have gained some weight. Gu Yunjiao looked in the mirror this morning and felt that she had gained some weight. After she became pregnant, she unknowingly increased her appetite a lot. After eating, when Madame Tian cleaned the iron pot, Gu Yunjiao pointed to the tent not far away and said, that tent will be ours from now on, we can sleep in the tent tonight. Sanya almost jumped up, great, I don't have to sleep in the mud today. Everyone quickly packed up, and Gu Yuhang drove the carriage over. Gu Yunjiao went into the tent and took a look. The floor was covered with wooden boards and felt blankets. This was much better than sleeping directly on the ground, at least there was no moisture. More importantly, they don't have to worry about rain anymore. Gu Yuhang also came in to take a look. It's good. After this, Uncle Du and I will sleep in the carriage outside, and your female relatives and children will sleep in the tent. Gu Yunjiao nodded, okay, Dad's arrangement is good. Just as he was talking, two soldiers came in carrying a bathtub with two wooden barrels inside. When the soldiers left, Mrs. Wu said excitedly, my God, I can finally give Ruru a bath. If you don't take a bath, Ruru will not be able to bear it anymore. The weather in May is already very hot. After walking for a day, everyone is covered with dust and sweat. They can't take a shower. They feel itchy all over when they sleep at night. Gu Yuhang, Uncle Du, and Madame Tian went to fetch water. He brought water to the iron pot and boiled it, mixed with cold water, first gave Ruru a bath, and then the women lined up to take a bath. Gu Yuhang and Uncle Du led Lu Lang and Gu Chuan to the river to strip naked, washed them in the water before going ashore. There were men bathing all over the river. At this time, the water was still a little cold. Gu Chuan stood in the shallow water, shivering from the cold, and barely finished washing. On the way back, Gu Yuhang called a few people to pick up a lot of dead branches, and when he returned to Zhejiang, Gu Chuan sat beside the fire, and Gu Chuan soon stopped shaking. Gu Yunjiao also washed her hair and took a shower, and was sitting by the fire combing her hair. The comb was smoothed by her this morning. After the maid combed her hair, she kicked it into her arms. She felt that her skin was getting thicker and thicker now. In order to survive, it was really nothing to touch something. He was combing his hair when he saw Lin Shishi carrying a package. She smiled and said, "It's all clothes for you, don't worry, I picked them out myself, and I also picked clothes that I haven't worn." Gu Yunjiao opened the bag and saw that there were some toiletries inside. She got up and thanked her. Lin Shishi smiled and did not leave in a hurry, and sat down by the fire. She looked at Mrs. Wu, who was not far away. Before, I was very envious of a woman like Mrs. Wu, who could gain a foothold in the world without relying on a man, and many men were afraid to see her. Gu Yunjiao smiled and said, "Don't be envious now." Lin Shishi looked at Mrs. Wu, who was holding Ruru in her arms, and coaxed, "Well, I only know now that in the face of some things, Mrs. Wu is as powerless as I am." Gu Yunjiao sighed slightly. In such a troubled world, all we can do is to protect ourselves first. Lin Shishi laughed at herself. "Yeah, you and I are quite lucky. You only need to serve one man." Gu Yunjiao nodded after thinking about it. If Wan Yanzang hadn't been waiting for her to go to treat his mother, she still doesn't know what it would be like. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jinkui. Chapter 767. At night everyone crowded into tents to sleep. Lu Lang was very conscious and pulled Gu Chuan to sleep near the door. The rest of the women huddled together and lay down. When Gu Yunjiao was pregnant, her body was easily tired, and she was dazed as soon as she closed her eyes. In a daze, she heard the color screen beside her and Huixiang whispering, "Fortunately we followed the eldest young lady, did you see it last night?" Huixiang said, "I saw it. I was almost scared to death at the time. Fortunately, they didn't come to the carriage." Cai Ping said faintly, "I made up my mind. If I am dragged away and spoiled by them, I will bite my tongue and kill myself." Huixiang sighed and said nothing. Gu Yunjiao heard it clearly, but she couldn't open her eyes, so she fell asleep. Early the next morning, Gu Yunjiao cleaned herself up and went to Wan Yanzang's palace. The large group walked for almost 20 days and arrived in Changning. When they arrive in Changning, half of the 100,000 men will come out and stay nearby to farm. The Supreme Emperor of Chu, the Emperor, the Queen Concubine, the Princess, the officials, and family members of the third rank and above in the capital were all ordered to wait for Wanyanzhang in Changning at this moment, and then set off together to go to Duning, the capital of Jin. Wanyanzhang ordered repairs for 2 days. Gu Yunjiao didn't go to Wanyanzhang this morning. She estimated that when she arrived in Changning, Wanyanzhang must have a lot of things to deal with. Today, there is neither bullfighting nor storytelling. After eating pancakes and wild vegetables and wolfberry in the morning, Gu Yunjiao took a walk near the camp. She didn't dare to go too far. The soldiers around here knew her and treated her respectfully. It was almost evening when Wanyanzhang's personal soldiers came over again and threw their hands at Gu Yunjiao. "Second prince, please invite Dr. Gu to the banquet." Gu Yunjiao tidied up briefly, changed her clothes, thought about it, brought her big girl, got on the carriage brought by her personal soldiers, and left. Although Dia has no inner strength now, she is almost healed now, her reaction speed is still there, she is still tall and strong. With her around, Gu Yunjiao will feel a little more secure. Changning is a big city, and the banquet is set in a palace in Changning. Gu Yunjiao got off the carriage and followed the soldiers into the palace. After walking for a while, she entered a large hall. The hall is brightly lit. The entire hall was covered with thick carpets, and tables were placed along both sides of the hall. Gu Yunjiao glanced roughly, and the people sitting behind the table were almost all tall and strong, and at first glance they were people of Jin. At the top of the hall, Wang Yanzhang was sitting high. On Wang Yanzhang's left are the Emperor Taizhang and the Empress Dowager Zheng, both of them bowing their heads. Below the two are the Emperor and the Queen. Wang Yanzhang's right-hand side is Wulindahai. Seeing Gu Yunjiao entering, Wang Yanzhang raised his hand, "Give me a seat." The maid quickly bowed her head in Wulindahai and displayed a table. Gu Yunjiao sat down slowly. At this time, someone in the hall said, "Second prince, I heard that Princess Dechu is so beautiful, and the ladies of Dechu are all beautiful, why don't you ask them to come over and pour wine for us?" Wang Yanzhang nodded slightly, "Yes." The Emperor Taizhang, who was sitting under his hand, moved his lips, as if he wanted to say something, but soon closed his mouth again. In less than a quarter of an hour, the princesses and ladies of the Great Chu were escorted in by the soldiers. Gu Yunjiao saw many familiar faces in it. Princess Xiaokang, Lingwei, Chu Danning, and Princess Huiqing, who is the most beautiful in Chu, are also among them. Princess Huiqing was 25 or 6 years old and had already been married. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jinkui. Chapter 768. The soldiers pointed their spears one by one and motioned the women to sit next to the Jin officials. Most of the women walked slowly with their heads lowered. From Dingjing to Changning, they had suffered enough humiliation and insults, and the pride and restraint of noble women had been left. Only a few women remained standing still. At the end, there were still 3 women standing upright. Gu Yunjiao heard Wu Lindahai ask next to her, "Why, are these officials unwilling to serve me in Dajin?" A woman standing said in a clear voice, "You Jin people are all beasts. Let me pour you wine, don't think about it." The other 2 women were silent, but they both stood behind this woman with their heads held high, showing no doubt that they shared the same hatred. Wu Lindahai snorted, "Yes, I have a backbone." Then he said without hesitation, "Since that's the case, it's useless to keep you guys. They're all pulled out and beheaded." As soon as the words fell, the soldiers dragged the women out. Gu Yunjiao looked at the women, who were only in their 20s. They stood there just now, beautiful and noble, but now they were dragged to the ground by the hair of the soldiers, but they were like lambs to be slaughtered. She turned her head sharply to look at Wang Yanzhang, who was looking up, and Wang Yanzhang just happened to be looking at her. Gu Yunjiao opened her lips slightly, just as she was about to say something, she caught Wang Yanzhang's gaze and slowly closed her mouth again. Wang Yanzhang's eyes were a little cold, clearly signaling her not to open her mouth to plead. It was useless to open her mouth, she was just humiliating herself. Gu Yunjiao clenched her fists and lowered her head slowly. At this moment, a small voice suddenly came from behind her, "You don't have to think about what to do, it's not necessarily a relief for them to die now. I don't know how many people here want to die, but they don't have the courage to end their lives." Gu Yunjiao turned around and was surprised to find that the girl behind her dressed as a maid was actually Yang Ying. The 3 women were quickly dragged out. After a while, the blood-stained soldiers on their armor returned to the palace to return their orders, "Report to the second prince, to the prime minister, the 3 women have been executed." Yulindahai waved his hand, and the soldiers retreated. Then 2 teams of kabuki outside came in, and the sound of silk and bamboo resounded in the hall. Gu Yunjiao sat with her eyes down, not drinking, not even moving her chopsticks. She once thought that she didn't have much sense of belonging to Dechu, but at this moment, in this great hall, she clearly felt the deep humiliation and anger that she felt as a Dechu person. It was as if a big rock was pressed against my chest, and I couldn't move it, making it hard to breathe. Yang Ying's lowered voice came from behind, "Dr. Gu, don't be sad, you'll get used to it gradually." Gu Yunjiao showed a smile that was uglier than crying. Yang Ying whispered, I am now the mate of the second prince. I saw you a few days ago, but I didn't have a chance to say hello to you. How are you now? Gu Yunjiao's eyes were a little wet, and her voice was a little choked. Before the city broke, the grandfather of the country went out of the city to assassinate the Emperor Taizhang, but today there is no news, and I don't know if it is life or death. The eldest son is okay. The eldest son went on a business trip to Xiangcheng and escaped this disaster. Madam is with me. Yang Ying whispered behind Gu Yunjiao, that's good. In my family, only my brother and I were taken captive. She smiled bitterly, I used to hate myself for not being beautiful enough, but in the end, this beauty hurts me again and again. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jinkui. Chapter 769. Gu Yunjiao noticed that Wan Yanzhang was looking over here, and she immediately shut up and stopped talking. I don't know when the atmosphere in the hall became lively. Gu Yunjiao's position was at the top. As long as she raised her eyelids, she could have a panoramic view of the entire hall. It's just that she kept her head down and didn't dare to look down. She heard the sound of silk and bamboo and all kinds of noisy voices in her ears, and just wanted to leave this place quickly. But she also knew that this banquet was different from any banquet she had attended before, and it wasn't something she could leave if she wanted to. Gu Yunjiao suddenly noticed something and raised her eyes unconsciously to look over. Not far away, Ling Wei was hugged by a man, but her eyes were fixed on Gu Yunjiao. Even though she was so far away, she could feel the hatred in her eyes. Gu Yunjiao's eyes narrowed, and then she looked away. At this time, Lin Shishi came over from Wan Yanzhang's side, bent down, and whispered, Second Prince asked if you are feeling sick. Why don't you eat? Gu Yunjiao just wanted to get out of here quickly, and hurriedly said, It's not very comfortable, I want to go back to the camp to rest. Lin Shishi nodded, I'll go back to the second prince. She used to say a few words beside the second prince, and soon came back and said to Gu Yunjiao, the second prince allows you to go out for a walk, but you can't leave now. The second prince also said that the city gate has been closed, and the camp cannot be returned. You will rest in the palace tonight. Gu Yunjiao sighed, got up, walked to the side door next to her, and went out from the side hall. The night wind is cool outside, and the moonlight is like water. Gu Yunjiao looked up at the full moon in the sky. I don't know if anyone in Xiangcheng is also watching the moon. Gu Yunjiao, a sharp voice behind her interrupted Gu Yunjiao's thoughts. She turned back slowly, and saw Ling Wei staring at herself with hatred on her face. Gu Yunjiao didn't quite understand where Ling Wei's hatred came from. She has never targeted Ling Wei, nor offended her. When they were together in the palace, there was almost no other intersection except for the occasional meeting with an. She looked at Ling Wei and said lightly, Is something wrong? Ling Wei was more and more annoyed by her light-hearted appearance. She pointed at Gu Yunjiao, Why do you live so well? All of us are as humble as dogs, why can you still be high above? Although they are in the hall, these women are accompanied by the wine and are for people to have fun. Gu Yunjiao was different. She had her own seat and was served by a maid. And her position is high, obviously a VIP. In addition to the Supreme Empress Dowager and the Empress Dowager, De Chu can still have a position, and even those officials are all standing in the hall and have no place. Gu Yunjiao, why is she? Gu Yunjiao looked at Ling Wei quietly for a while, and said lightly, Why? Because I'm not the same as you, you used to be high and high, all from the power of the family behind you, so when your family loses power, you lose everything. And I have always lived by my own ability. Ling Wei was stunned for a moment, and suddenly burst into tears. She first just started to cry, and then she burst into tears. She knew that Gu Yunjiao was right. She can live well because she is more capable than them. She was respected by her ability, not by pleasing men. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jin Kui. Chapter 770. Beautiful as Princess Huiqing, she was ravaged by several Jin army officers along the way, and Ling Wei herself was not able to escape. Only Gu Yunjiao, she is still not stained with dust, just like the bright moon in the sky. When Gu Yunjiao heard this cry, she felt unspeakable in her heart. The rabbit died and the fox was sad. Even though she can still deal with Wan Yanzang and protect herself, maybe one day, Wan Yanzang feels that she is worthless, and she will end up like them. Gu Yunjiao blew the wind for a while, returned to the main hall, and sat there with a numb expression. Wan Yanzhang glanced at her from time to time. He invited her over to the banquet today, of course, with a purpose. He wanted to show her how miserable the princes, nobles, princesses, and ladies of Great Chu were, so that she would understand how important her protection was to her. He still remembers that when he was in Xiangcheng, he lay groggy in the inn with heat stroke, as if his body was on fire. It was Gu Yunjiao who put her little hand on her forehead, the cold and soft touch, still fresh in her memory. She saved his life. Therefore, he is now willing to give her some indulgence. Watching her racking her brains every day to please herself is also a very interesting thing. It's just that he won't keep indulging like this endlessly. He wants all of her medical skills, those novel and interesting ideas in her mind, and her people. I hope that after today, she will be able to know her situation more clearly, and then crawl at his feet and offer her all. Wan Yanzang remembered that Gu Yunjiao hadn't touched her chopsticks tonight, and motioned to Lin Shishi to bring the plate of lychees in front of her to Gu Yunjiao's side. This stuff is not easy to come by, and the quantity is very small. In the entire hall, only he and the Prime Minister have lychees on the table. Lin Shishi put the lychees away, Yang Ying reached out and peeled a few, removed the core, put it on a plate, and put it in front of Gu Yunjiao. Seeing this rare thing, Gu Yunjiao finally aroused the greed in her stomach. She picked one up and put it in her mouth to chew slowly. The extremely sweet taste brought her a little pleasure, and the face that was still dead just now became much more relaxed. Wan Yanzang, who was at the top, saw that Gu Yunjiao had finally started to eat, and the line of his jaw also relaxed unknowingly, but he didn't notice it at all. At the moment of the banquet, everyone drank a lot of wine. Many officials of Jin state, embracing the princesses and the daughters of gold, began to show their ugliness. Empress Dowager Zheng, who was sitting at the top, saw that Princess Zhaoqing, who was born to her, was being held in the arms of a man. She struggled and felt distressed like a knife. She stood up suddenly, knelt down at Wan Yanzang's feet, kowtowed and prayed, "Second prince, everyone has wives and children. The kingdom of Great Jin has always been known for its etiquette. How can I treat the princess and lady of Great Chu like a brothel girl? I beg the second prince to be kind and allow them to return to the camp." Wan Yanzhang let out a laugh. "In this hall, the atmosphere is just right. What camp are you going back to?" Empress Zheng kowtowed vigorously, "I beg the second prince for mercy." The emperor's face turned white. The emperor was also terrified. Empress Zhu lowered her eyes and looked expressionless. Wan Yanzang's face turned cold. "Pull her out." Immediately, a soldier stepped forward and pulled Empress Zheng out. The officials of Jin state became more and more sloppy, and all kinds of unsightly and ugly appearances came out. Gu Yunjiao was sitting on pins and needles, got up and left the table, and then went out from the side door to the side hall.